You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how easy that Joe Schoen could create an additional $35.6 million in cap space and bring the New York Giants' total cap space number to about $65 million heading into NFL free agency. And this is not some crazy plan. We're not losing any players. We're not doing any crazy contract extension or trading players. This is very easy, an easy way for Joe Schoen to create an extra $35.5 million in cap space going into free agency. Right now, according to Spotrac, the New York Giants have $26 million in cap space. That is the 17th most in the National Football League. So they're right in the middle of the pack when it comes to current available space. But right now, the salary cap space number is going to fluctuate from site to site because Mike Florio says the salary cap is expected to be $250 million by the time the new league year starts. It was projected to be $242 million. So it's $8 million higher than expected. I went through today's video with the old salary cap projection of $242 million. If it rises $8 more million, that means the Giants could get up to about $73 million in cap space. And they would be able to spend big coming up on March 11th when free agency opens up. We are less than a month away from free agency, and it will be a huge opportunity for Joe Schoen in off-season number 3 as the general manager for this football team to add talent and get the Giants back to being a competitive team in the NFC East. I do know this, though. There is not a single channel on YouTube that will cover NFL free agency better than we will here on New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. We'll be live multiple days. Anytime the Giants sign someone, we'll make a video. I promise you, nobody will cover free agency better than we do. Give us a chance. If we didn't, you could unsubscribe in 2 weeks. But I promise you'll love it because we'll continue to do everything we can to give you the best content every single day. Before we dive into the plan on how the Giants can clear all that cap space, I think it's kind of critical to set the stage of key free agents that they may want to re-sign, because that will eat up cap space that you have. Saquon Barkley, they're going to have to make a decision on him. It sounds like the franchise tag is out of the window, and then that will not be an option for this team. You also have to make a decision on Xavier McKinney. These two guys would command the most capital when it comes to paying them. Then you got Adoree Jackson, who has voiced that he wants to come back. I thought Isaiah Simmons did a great job in his year here. A little bit limited as a player because of his versatility. Kind of crazy to say it, but he's a good player, and I would like to keep him because he's a good off-ball linebacker. He's athletic, and he can help you in sub-packages on defense while also giving you some pass rush punch. And A'Shawn Robinson, he's a player that I felt like kind of flew under the radar last year, but he was one of the best interior defensive line when it comes to run-stop win rate last year. He's really good at getting off blocks. He's really good at plugging holes. I would like to bring him back. But outside of these top 5 players, the New York Giants have a lot of other top needs on this team. Offensive line. I know everybody watching today's video will agree that the offensive line is the number one thing the Giants need to fix. They've also said that they want to sign a backup quarterback. We did videos on this, that the thing the Giants want to do is sign a quarterback that is more than just a career backup. That's going to cost you a little bit of money. They need another edge rusher to pair alongside Kayvon Thibodeau. They need another corner on the opposite side of the young buck, Deonte Banks. And I think they need another wide receiver. You're one of the worst offenses in recent history. You probably need more playmakers on the outside. So let's get into it. How can the Giants create cap space? Well, the easiest decisions they'll make this offseason is restructuring the contract of Andrew Thomas and restructuring the contract of Dexter Lawrence. If you restructure Thomas, you save $14.8 million. If you restructure Dexter Lawrence, you save $11.5 million. If you do both, you save $26.3 million. You might be asking me, well, Marshall, what does restructuring mean? Try to get you a good definition here. This is it. It takes the maximum amount of the base salary and makes it into a signing bonus. It allows you to spread the money out over the rest of the contract up to 5 years, just pushing that money off into the future. But if you're going to have the guy the next few seasons, it is worth it. So for example, you can take a $15 million base salary and make it a signing bonus and have it count for an additional $3 million each of the next 5 years, including the current one. So it would drop the cap hit from the current year by $12 million. I hope that made some sense, which means if you listen to that, Andrew Thomas and Dexter Lawrence are perfect candidates to be restructured. They did just sign extensions, which means they're going to be here for the foreseeable future. Just take a little of the money they're owed now and sprinkle it over the next couple of years and create $26 million in additional cap space to help you sign good players. They don't have to agree to a restructure. It doesn't hurt the Giants. It only benefits them. So you've created $26 million. How can you create some more? Well, what about extending Darius Slayton? We've talked about cutting Slayton. We've talked about trading Slayton. If you move on from him via cut or trade, you save about $6 million. Well, what about the idea of extending Darius Slayton? It would save you $3.4 million this year. All of these calculations are based by Spotrac. You could check them out. All this information is available on their website. Darius Slayton has been maybe the best Giants wide receiver since Odell Beckham. And I don't know if that's really hyperbole. The last 4 years, he's been he's been great. He's been great. 3 out of the last 4 years. 3 out of the last 4 years, he has led the Giants in receiving yards. And we've talked about moving on from him, that, they could do that. But I would keep him around. And instead of trading or cutting him, I would extend his contract. That way his cap hit can come down a little bit this year, and you save almost $4 million. And I want to see him with a quarterback that consistently throw the ball downfield. We saw it with Tyrod Taylor, and he had a 70-yard touchdown and an 80-yard touchdown in back-to-back weeks. I'd keep him, and I would extend him. He's a good player, and I think he fits the mold of the type of receiver that Brian Daboll can make effective because he could stretch the football field. You do those 3 things, and you've up to $29.7 million in cap space that you could save. But we are not done yet. I'm going to show you how the Giants can save $10 more million in cap space and get you to almost $40 million saved and put you in a position to be in the driver's seat for NFL free agency to acquire top-end talent. That's around the corner. Right now, I need you guys to check out our proud sponsor, Game Time, the #1 ticketing app in the game. Click the link in the comments and description, or just go in the App Store, download the Game Time app, and use the promo code GIANTSCHAT, and they will save you $20 off your first purchase. Giants games, concerts, Knicks games, Rangers games, theater events, plays, and so much more. You can buy tickets to anything on Game Time. It's awesome. What I love about it is the price of the events usually drop as the events get closer. They always have these flash deals. They'll send you push notifications when tickets you've looked at have gone on a sale or are available for a cheaper price. Check it out. Download the Game Time app and use the promo code GIANTSCHAT, and you'll save yourself $20. All that information will be made clickable down in the comments and description. Shout out to Game Time for sponsoring today's show, the #1 ticketing app in the game. Check them out. Download the Game Time app. Use the promo code GIANTSCHAT for $20 off. All right, so we've already restructured Andrew Thomas, Dexter Lawrence, and we've extended Darius Slayton. We've saved already over $29 million, something like that. How about we save an additional $5.6 million? You cut Mark Lewinsky. It should be the first thing the New York Giants actually do this offseason. I want to thank Mark Lewinsky for what he's done for the Giants over the last 2 years, but his services are no longer needed at the current price point. So you cut him, and you save an additional $5.6 million in cap space. Then you move to the defensive side of the ball. A player that I actually thought was going to have a long, successful career in this league, Aaron Robinson, really hasn't played due to injury in the past 2 years for the New York Giants. I just think we've got to the point where it's probably best to just move on. $1.3 million in saved money if you cut him. And then, unfortunately, you got to cut our guy, Carlos Boogie Basham. Maybe the best nickname of all time in Boogie Basham. And I remember when the Giants traded for Basham. Prior to the season started, they gave up a seventh or sixth, and they got Basham in a seventh back or something like that. But if you move on from him, you then save $1.4 million. And you don't have any dead cap hit money. He's a high candidate to be cut this offseason, unfortunately. And then you move on from the veteran running back at this point, Gary Brightwell. That saves you another $1 million in cap space. You make those moves, and you're up to $65 million in cap space. I just showed you how the New York Giants can save $35.6 million in cap space and get to $65 million and have the 8th most cap space in the league. And then if the cap does jump from $242 to $250, you'd have $73 million in cap space. And you would be able to improve this roster in free agency. You don't spend it all right now. You carry it over a little bit. You don't, just because money's in your pocket, you don't have to spend it. Spend wisely. And Joe Schoen has proven that he's been able to do that since becoming the general manager of this team. But the Giants, they simply need this money to improve this roster. We showed you the holes they have. Offensive lineman, corner, edge. They need to fix the roster. And the first thing they need to do is sign at minimum one starting offensive lineman. Whether that be Jerome Illuminor at the right guard spot, maybe it's one of the interior offensive linemen that we've talked about time and time again on this channel. But you need to walk out of free agency with at minimum one new starting offensive lineman. Ideally, I would sign 2. That's what I would do. Then I think you need to add an offensive weapon. You need to put somebody on the outside that puts some fear in the heart of defensive coordinators across the National Football League. Because if you're going to let Saquon Barkley go, you're not going to have a lot of playmakers on this team, and you need to add some more, whether it be a running back to replace Saquon. Don't spend big money there if you're going to let Saquon walk, but maybe it's a receiver. Maybe it's somebody else. Another offensive weapon is what this team needs. And then on defense, I would like to see the Giants either pay for an edge or pay for a corner. There's some really good corners out there this year. Do you want to spend big on maybe a guy like L'Jarius Sneed and see if he can come in and really fix your defensive back crew? Do you go after a guy like Danielle Hunter or Josh Allen, or maybe you go and sign an older guy that's proven and bounced around a little bit like Leonard Floyd? I believe he has 4 straight seasons of 10-plus sacks. Maybe it's 3, but he's a really good player. My plan, number 4, don't overspend on a backup quarterback. You do need a backup quarterback because you don't even know if Daniel Jones will be healthy to go week 1 if he is your starter. But don't overspend. Don't spend too much on your backup quarterback to where you can't sign a starting offensive lineman or add an offensive weapon or get an edge or a corner. That is my 3-step, 4-step plan for what I would do in free agency if the Giants are able to clean up $35 million in cap space like we showed you how they could do on today's show. What is the Giants' number 1 need in free agency in your opinion? I want to hear from all the real ones down in the comment section. Sound off for me. Number 1 need in free agency for the Giants and Joe Schoen. Make sure you are following me over on social media to stay in the loop on everything Big Blue. I'm tweeting about this team every day. I'm posting videos on Instagram as well. So give me a follow over there, and let's go Big Blue.